Okay, so, hey, Nick, this is Matt. Nick in Oregon. It says here that you're going to ask us the question, why don't you believe?
Yes.
Yeah, we actually had a whole call about that earlier and answered because there's not sufficient evidence to warrant belief. So I don't know if you were listening.
But there is sufficient evidence, though, so I'm not really understanding.
Okay. Well, then what evidence is sufficient to justify belief? And what is it that we're supposed to be believing in?
A God.
Which God?
Yeah.
Well, let's just say a vague deistic God for now, and then we can move into a...
Well, why would I...
Yeah.
Okay, so a vague deistic God, by definition, is non-interventionist, right?
Sure.
Yeah. So if this God doesn't intervene with reality at all, then there's no manifestation, and you can't have any evidence for whether or not this God exists.
That's true. This being could be necessary. It could be... it could be necessary.
Then it doesn't fit the definition of a deistic God.
But okay, so basically you're arguing for a vague deistic necessary deity.
Sure.
Okay. Why should I believe that such a thing exists?
Okay, so are you familiar? Actually, I know you're familiar with the Kalam cosmological argument, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Are you familiar with the Kalam?
Yes, I am.
What is the conclusion of the Kalam cosmological argument?
Right, so that's probably what I was expecting you to say. So I agree that it doesn't directly say God exists, but what it would say
what is the conclusion?
The universe had a cause.
Yeah, so the Kalam cosmological argument doesn't get you to, therefore there's a God. It just says the universe has a cause for this.
So
but
what I would say is that what it does say is that there's something that transcends the universe that's timeless.
No, it doesn't.
Faceless,
No, it doesn't.
material.
No, it doesn't. None of those terms exist in the Kalam. The Kalam cosmological argument. The Kalam cosmological argument is everything that begins to exist has a cause for its existence. The universe began to exist. Therefore, the universe has a cause.
But that's fine.
Therefore, the universe has a cause for its existence. The Kalam doesn't say anything about whether or not that cause is an agent, whether it's timeless, whether it's a part of the universe, whether it's separate from the universe. Nick, these are all things that are added to the Kalam.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Then why?
The consequences of the universe having a cause.
Nick, why then, if I ask you why I should believe, would you begin with the Kalam, which doesn't demonstrate the thing that you're talking about?
Because what it does demonstrate is that something that has all the qualities of what I'm describing exists.
No, it doesn't. No. It does not.
Okay,
Nick, I just went through this. The Kalam is irrelevant to this. And first of all, the Kalam cosmological argument isn't necessarily sound. I'm not saying I accept it.
Okay, well, let's debate. So do you want me to explain to you why the conclusion gives evidence for the existence of God, or do you want to challenge one of the soundness of the present?
So first of all, the conclusion cannot give evidence for a God. That is something you are adding to the conclusion, because the conclusion is the conclusion. Can you let me finish my sentence? The conclusion is, therefore, the universe has a cause. The Kalam tells us nothing about the nature of the cause. In order to talk about the nature of what the cause of the universe is, you have to add things that aren't part of the Kalam. If you want to begin with, Nick, for Christ's sake, shut up. If you want to begin,
I'll let you talk for a little bit. I would like to explain why that.
And now I'm not going to let you talk at all. You don't have to come in here and say that you let us talk. If you want to begin with, hey, there really has to be some causal explanation for the universe. You don't need the Kalam for that. You could just say, my beginning premise for my argument is there must be some causal explanation for the universe. And I would say, okay, let's go from there. How did you determine that this cause is necessarily timeless and blah, 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 blah? But even if you could demonstrate those things, agency is not something that is derived directly from that. The only reason that William and Craig or anyone else starts with the Kalam and moves on to a God is to exploit intuitions in people, is to exploit a fallacy of, what sort of thing could possibly be an explanation? Right. I can't think of anything other than the gods that have been proposed. Therefore, that's the explanation. And that is fallacious. And I only took your call right then because it said you were going to ask us the thing we'd already answered. But
don't you love it when people call and they don't understand the argument they're proposing?
I mean, by the way, side note, an argument isn't evidence.
Right. It's just an argument.
And now, an argument may be sufficient to get you to accept that something is, provided you accept the premises. But I already don't accept the Kalam for reasons we've discussed before, and I'm sure I'll discuss again.